All right, at the end of each chapter of Dana Harris's Introduction to Biblical Greek Grammar, there's a study guide listing concepts and skills that you need to know. We're taking those and creating this audiovisual study guide, which will review each of those concepts. If there's something here that you don't understand, you have to go back to the chapter and read more about it. This is just meant to be a review. So let's look at chapter 6. Function of a preposition, a word used with a substantive to show its relationship to another syntactic unit, such as another substantive, verb, or clause. To show the relationship between plate and table, we could say the plate is on the table. On is the preposition. Object of a preposition introduces a prepositional phrase. The substantive in this phrase is called the object of the preposition. On the table is a prepositional phrase. On is the preposition. Table is the object of the preposition. So we can repeat that. Table is the object of the preposition in on the table. And then a prepositional phrase does not contain a finite verb. On the table does not contain a finite verb. If you encounter a finite verb, you know you've gone outside the boundary of the prepositional phrase. There is usually only one substantive that functions as the object of the preposition, although this substantive may have several modifiers, for instance, on the dirty, ugly table. Basic temporal and spatial orientation of each of the oblique cases. The meaning of a preposition depends upon the case of its object, which will be in one of the oblique cases, accusative, genitive, or dative. So for genitive, what it means in spatial orientation is movement from or from out of. And for temporal orientation, it means a type of time. So for day, that would be daytime. Day would become daytime in the genitive case. Dative, in spatial orientation, that's stationary, and in temporal orientation, it's a point in time. So day in the dative case would become on the day in meaning. Accusative, spatial orientation, motion toward or into. Temporal orientation would be duration. So day would mean throughout the day if it was in the accusative case. You see the little diagram there for spatial orientation, accusative moving toward or into, dative stationary, genitive motion from or from out of. Antecedent, the substantive which a pronoun is substituted for is called an antecedent. A pronoun must agree with its antecedent in number and gender. Grammatical proxy, a pronoun is a grammatical substitute or grammatical proxy because it stands in the place of another substantive. In the accusative and dative cases, Greek personal pronouns often function as grammatical proxies, standing in the place of their antecedents. Possessive function of personal pronouns. In the genitive case, personal pronouns frequently indicate possession. Entealtu parousia, in his appearing. His is the genitive altu. Humon he cardia, your hearts. Autotus ophthalmus, his eyes. So you see here, altu in the genitive is possessive, his, and humon, genitive, plural. Again, it's possessive, your. Emphatic function of personal pronouns. Emphatic forms of the first and second person personal pronouns indicate emphasis or function as the object of a preposition. So, eme u pantote ekete, you do not always have me. Eme is emphatic. Eseme pistuete, believe in me. Again, eme is in the emphatic form, and you see in the first example, it's also placed first in syntax or in the primary position in the clause, which is another way of giving emphasis. Adjectival functions of autos. The most common function of autos is as a pronoun. When a form of autos, an article and a substantive in the same case, number and gender occur in the attributive position, either first or second, autos has the meaning of the same. So ha autos kurios, first attributive position, and then it's in the article modifier substantive placement and means the same Lord. Ha kurios, ha autos, second attributive position, article substantive, article modifier. And again, it means the same Lord. Ha kurios, ha autos kurios. The pronoun there means the same. When a form of autos has an article and a substantive in the same case, number and gender, when a form of autos, an article and a substantive in the same case, number and gender occur in the predicate position, first or second, autos has the meaning of self. So himself, herself, itself. This function is usually in the nominative case. Autos ho kurios. So it's in the first predicate position there, modifier, article, substantive, the Lord himself. Ho kurios autos, second predicate position, article, substantive, modifier, the Lord himself. So the word order here is going to determine what the meaning is. It can also appear in the nominative case without the article to indicate emphasis. This is not an adjectival use. So altos kurios, emphasis, the Lord himself. Coordinating conjunction. Join two or more equal syntactic units, such as a noun and a noun, a verb and a verb, a clause and a clause, etc. Alla, de, kai, uta are all coordinating conjunctions. Hey is another one. Uta can be correlative, meaning neither nor. Subordinated conjunctions introduce subordinate clauses, clauses that are dependent in some way on the main or independent clause. Hoti is an example of a subordinating conjunction. Postpositive. Gar has a causal function and is postpositive. It can never occur as the first word in the clause in which it occurs. Un is the same way. Postpositive means it cannot be the first word in the clause. It's going to be second or even third. So the skills for chapter 6 are be able to parse forms of personal pronouns, identify prepositional phrases, identify subordinating and coordinating clauses, and translate basic Koine sentences. And the chapter also has a list of vocab to memorize and paradigms to memorize as well. I hope that's been helpful. If there's anything you don't understand, you have to go back and look up those concepts in the chapter.